Hello and welcome to the fifth episode of Demonicast, and I'm here with Sahil, aka DemonStealer, and he's also the frontman of the band Demonic Resurrection, if I'm not mistaken. So
Yeah,
you've been at it for quite a long time. What is it, like 23 years now you've been doing this, or
yeah. I mean, the band has been around for 22, but I started writing and recording music about 24 years ago, so it's been a while.
Oh shit. Yeah. What was your inspiration like before starting to making music? Did you have like a favorite band that you were like I want to have like inspired by this and or that or something like that?
I think for me, it was more a group of bands rather than just one band, because even if you listen to the music of Demonic Resurrection, there's a lot of
Yeah.
influences. So for me, I was very heavily influenced by bands like Cradle of Filth, Dimmu Borgir. I especially liked, bands like Theater of Tragedy,
Yeah.
Tristania, those
Okay.
kind of sort of gothic metal bands. So that was my early inspiration for Demonic Resurrection.
Okay. Have there been any more like bands popping up than just inspired more and more and add more from different bands as you went? I mean, it's been a long time, so I'm guessing that you like picks.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
definitely. Over the years, like I had a huge power metal phase where I loved bands like Blind Guardian, Camelot, Nightwish. Also, I had a big phase where I loved, Behemoth and a lot of death metal like Deicide, Cannibal Corpse, Hate Eternal. More recently, I listened to a lot of tech death like Obscura, Inferi, Archspire. So for me, the influences are always changing, and I guess there is a little bit of that in the evolution of the band sound over time.
yeah. Because I listened to some of your some of your stuff on Spotify, and you could really like pick out because there were some songs that had a lot of clean singing, and some songs that
Yeah,
had like more uh pure harshness and more heavy vocals.
yeah.
So it was like a lot of variation. It was interesting to like follow the journey of the different albums. I listened to some songs of every album. It was really fun to see, actually. I haven't listened that much to Demonic Resurrection yet, but
Yeah.
the little bit I listened to it, it sounded really nice. I saw on YouTube now that there was some uploads from 3 weeks ago. Have you released music recently?
So we put out four new songs last year for Demonic Resurrection's sort of 20th anniversary celebration. So I was just putting up like a visualizer video for those songs because YouTube sends a
Oh.
message saying you have not uploaded in 6 months. If you don't upload, we will remove your monetization. So I was like, okay,
Oh
we can
yeah.
put something up.
And on the Demon Stealer side, do you have more stuff coming there too?
Yes, so the new DemonStealer album is going to release on the 31st of March on Black Lion Records from Sweden.
Oh,
So
that's
that's
cool.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That was a pretty big thing that happened for the new album. So I put out an EP in 2020, and then I followed it up with another EP in 2021. And all of last year, I've been working on the new album, which comes out in March.
Oh, that's really cool. Really cool. Had to check that out when it comes.
Yeah.
What else was I thinking about? Yeah, I was actually wondering what's the metal scene like in India because I haven't like heard a lot of Indian metal bands in general. I've heard like Bloodywood, of course, because they
Yes.
kind of blew up last year, I think, with their
Yeah.
album. But I haven't really heard a lot of Indian metal bands.
Metal band. So there are a lot of metal bands in India. It's just that for them to get out of India, it's not very easy.
Okay.
Just coming to Europe to book like to do a tour is like about 4,000 euros.
Ooh.
Visas, flights.
Yeah.
And then to, these days the touring industry is really difficult as well. So most of the big bands, they only have buy on tour. So if you want to open for like a huge act like Behemoth or Nile or Flesh God Apocalypse or something,
Mm.
most likely there's an agent somewhere who says you need to pay 15,000 euros to play like the whole tour or something like that. So most Indian bands that are touring outside India are doing it on a much smaller scale.
Okay.
Uh, so there are bands that have toured. There's a band called Cryptos that is signed to AFM Records in Germany, and they just did a Europe tour. There is a band called Gutslit that tours with another German band called Stillbirth. They are a bit of grindcore and death metal. So there are all these sort of more obscure bands that are touring. Yeah, but Bloodywood is the only one that kind of has what we would call as more breakout success, because their music is sort of more accessible, and they kind of, I think, just hit the nail on the sort of head when it comes to what people in the West are looking for when they think of heavy metal from India.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that they are actually going to play in Denmark this year, I think, in like a month or two. So that's pretty
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah, I find it interesting because you like barely hear anything like about Indian metal bands or anything in general, but you might actually listen to Indian metal bands too without knowing they're Indian. I
Yeah,
think,
pretty much, um, because like when most people think of another country, they want to hear something more uh, sort of traditional. I think, like,
yeah.
is at least for metal radio, metal press, the big festivals, they're always looking for uh, something that sounds Indian. But what it means to be Indian is kind of very hard to explain, because India is kind of like Europe. So it's like saying, what does European metal sound like,
Yeah.
But you can't, because Swedish music is different from French music, which is different from German music, which is different from, Spanish music. So India is like that. So there are like different states, and each state has its own language and culture and music.
Yeah.
So Bloodywood is kind of what you hear from Bloodywood is more actually northern Indian music. So
Okay.
if I could compare it to food, you must have heard of butter chicken, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, so like when you talk of Indian food, a lot of people think butter chicken, but butter chicken is North Indian food. It's not like in southern India. There's totally different food. In the state where I live, there's totally different food. Like butter chicken is as alien to us as it is to anyone in the West.
Yeah, I mean, India is a big, big, big country. It's huge.
Yeah,
So it's bound to be have like different cultures and
yeah.
traditions
So
and
it's hard to say like this is one, like this one particular sound is Indian. It's very hard to sort of say that this is Indian.
yeah. I think like most like when they people think of India, they think like Bollywood movies and stuff like that. But I find it hard to imagine that all of India is like that. Like it's
No, no, not at
bound
all.
to
I
be.
mean, Bollywood is huge though in the
Yeah.
country, and metal is like very, 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 very,
Yeah.
very small.
Is there like a big variety of different genres of metal, or is it like a big focus to like on like death metal or power metal, or is it like a big variation of different?
Well, there's a little bit of everything, I think. All the subgenres. There is some bands playing it, but I think if you look at the scene as a whole, I think there are more modern metal bands and probably more thrash metal bands than any
Okay.
other genre, any other subgenre. Like especially stuff that would like you'd say is like fits the bill of like Animals as Leaders, Monuments, Tesseract, Textures, that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I find it interesting to like listen to like different scenes and stuff because yeah, if we take another scene that's interesting, it's like in Japan and stuff. Their metal scene
Yeah.
is completely crazy, like with Dexcore and all of these metal bands. And then we have like India. I find it so interesting to listen to all of the different like ways they do metal and
Yeah.
all of this. It's really, really cool. But yeah, how is this like? Has the scene changed anything while you have been doing metal?
Yeah,
Uh,
so it's like a massive difference in many ways. So when I started, a lot of the bands were mostly playing cover songs because
okay.
no big bands would ever tour India. So the only way you heard Iron Maiden or Metallica or Nirvana or any band, even in the rock, like so rock and metal were like very together in the start.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
we were just all called rock bands. Whether you were covering Sepultura or you were covering Deep Purple, you were all thrown together. And yeah, it was mainly covers and bands like Demonic Resurrection, along with a whole bunch of other bands. We were sort of the first wave of original heavy metal music, and we played many shows where we would get booed and we had stones thrown at us, and like people just didn't want to listen to extreme metal and original music. They wanted to hear their favorite, Iron Maiden cover or favorite
Oh
Metallica
yeah.
cover.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of pushback. Like most people formed bands to play their favorite cover songs.
Okay.
Uh, and today you can say that people form bands to play their own music, to actually write music and
Yeah, that's
express
awesome.
themselves. Yeah. So that was a huge sort of leap for the music here. Also, we definitely have more musical instruments now, more availability of products. Like when I started, I couldn't get a double bass pedal. I
Oh
actually
shit.
went to Singapore and I had to buy one for my drummer. And
Oh.
yeah, you could find a cheap local made one that would fall apart, but like if it was difficult to get certain equipment here in India, which now is much easier to get. Um Also, technology and the general global evolution of home
Mm.
recording also is sort of translated here. So when we started, there were no studios to record metal specifically in, because the studios were only like used by people who could afford the very expensive fees,
Oh yeah.
like commercial advertising and pop stars and things like that. So metal bands like would record in the worst studios and have the worst sounding stuff. But because of home recording, production started to improve. There were many engineers who started recording bands at home, and because of the internet, they were able to learn and sort of actually make decent sounding productions of the music.
And that's awesome to like hear that it developed like that. It must have been horrible there at the start, getting rocks and stuff thrown at you when you play, like just because it's
Yeah, that
different.
was yeah, it was not fun, and also I think it was also that a lot of the bands were not very good at that time live. So all of that together, because we were young bands, and obviously as we got better at performing and wrote better songs, it all started to work out. So yeah, like a lot of these things have evolved, but some things have not sort of changed. We still don't have very many venues where bands can actually, host shows. It's very difficult to still book a tour. There's no money in the music.
Mm.
Metal is still like a phase for college kids here. You know,
Yeah.
like these, like most people will start listening to metal when they're like 16 or 17, and then they either grow out of it by the time they're 23, 24, or they move abroad, or they're in a social circle where not everyone's into metal, so they stop going for shows. So
Mm.
these are the things that haven't really changed much, but hopefully over the course of a few decades, maybe there will be some,
Yeah,
you know
hopefully.
uh,
Going to
we have.
concerts and festivals is some of the best things I know. Like, there's nothing like seeing your favorite band play live. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Just like a few weeks ago, I was in on a festival in Gothenburg here in Sweden and saw Enterprise Earth, Shadow of Intent, and To the
Oh,
Grave,
nice.
and all of these deathcore bands, and it was like it was mind blowing seeing them live for the first time, and it was actually the first time going to Sweden too. But
Oh, nice.
it's
Yeah,
definitely underrated than going to concerts because it's such an like memory and
yeah,
just an event, meeting all the people and everything is just amazing. So that's a
yeah.
thing I really hope will get better and better. And now, have you taken any inspiration from like Lorna Shore and stuff like this now? Because they have blown up real much. I saw on Instagram that you had like this the Spotify thing. I think it was,
Yeah,
yeah, and Lorna Shore was in there, so I figured to listen some to them.
yeah, I listened to them a bit. I did like their new material. So I'm not a huge deathcore fan, but I can definitely appreciate, bands that are pushing the envelope, and Lon Shaw has some really good melodies. The vocalist is really he does some interesting stuff. Like I'm not the biggest fan of the breakdowns. Those are not the most interesting parts of the music, but I feel there's enough interesting stuff in their music to keep me kind of listening to it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm a huge, as you maybe saw, I'm a huge deathcore fan and the metalcore fan, so I'm very much into the breakdowns, but also like the melodies and symphonic aspects. And
Yeah.
nothing is better than a really good guitar solo. It's just like nothing beats it. Like when
Yeah.
they really go off, it's just amazing.
No, if
Uh,
you want to know something about the new album or
yeah, 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 for sure. Like what influences do you have? Is it like strictly death metal, or do you have influences of different kinds of metal in it?
yeah, so I think for me, because I listen to all the sort of subgenres of metal, I always have a little bit of everything in the music that I make, and especially with my solo material, there's a lot of clean vocals, there's a lot of blast beats. So for me, what really like sort of pushed me to write solo material is the collaborations that I do with musicians.
Okay.
So on my solo albums, I don't know if you've been checking the lineup, but my 2016 solo album was George Colliers from Nile on drums.
Oh shit. That's crazy.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. So what I did on my 2018 album was we had five different drummers. So I had Kevin Paradis from Benighted. I had Dan Preslin, the ex Neo Oblivious Caris. I had David DePaul from Obscura now. I
Ooh.
had Romain Goulon from Necrophagist. And I think I feel like I'm missing someone. I think I had those four guys. Yeah, and everyone played like one or two songs on the album, and I had different bass players as well. And that's something that I've really enjoyed kind of doing, which is getting my favorite drummers to play on the songs.
And
So the
that's
new
really
album,
cool.
yeah, so the new album has like 13 musicians on it. Uh,
Ooh.
yeah, there are four drummers, four bass players, and three lead guitarists, and one keyboard player.
Oh shit, that's awesome. That sounds very cool.
So yeah, so the whole idea is to pair up like one drummer with one bass player. So the first single that we put out uh, on the 17th of January, that has James Payne from Cataclysm on drums. It
Ooh.
has Martino Garatoni from Neo Oblivious Caris on bass, and Annabelle she was ex Cradle of Filth keyboard player, so she's doing keyboards on the entire album.
Oh shit, that's really, really sick. Was it kind of like meeting a hero since you were very inspired by Cradle of Filth when you started? Wasn't it like meeting your hero
Yeah,
almost?
so I actually met her before she joined Cradle of Filth. So she joined Cradle of Filth recently because Cradle of Filth, has always had like a sort of revolving door for band members. They keep changing the lineup.
Okay.
So yeah, so I actually met her at a music conference like in I want to say 2018 or 2019, and then immediately after that she got the Cradle of Filth gig, and
Ooh.
yeah, then she was with the band for one album, and then she sort of quit along with the guitar player. So she wasn't in Cradle for very long, but it was very fun to just chat with her and find out the inner workings of how bands that big operate and stuff. So it's always very cool, to
Yeah,
like.
really, really cool. Also, one thing that I remembered, I was going to ask, how do you like put the time to your solo projects and the main band at the same time? At the same time, how do you like
How do
share the
I how do
time?
I manage my time?
Yeah, manage. That was what I was looking for.
Yeah. So it people think it takes a lot more time than it does, but it doesn't really. Like for at least for the years that the band had a full lineup and we would rehearse and stuff, people often forget that like the band is not our full-time job. So
Mm.
everybody has to have a job to pay for, their to pay their bills. So everyone is not free all the time. So, maybe once a week you find 2 3 hours to jam and write and record, which is why most Indian bands take 4 years to do one album,
Mm.
because you have to balance your work, and then when you have free time, you meet your band and you write and record and rehearse. And for me, I kind of designed my life in such a way that I had a job that was very flexible. And in fact, in 2016 or 2015, I actually took a pay cut and started working from home. So
Okay.
I could focus on making music and stuff like that. So I've always just it's been pretty easy to actually make the time. In fact, now it's harder because I have a lot more work. So my actual job that pays the bills is a cooking channel on YouTube.
Oh, okay. So do you do a lot
Yeah,
of
so I have
traditional? I like cooking too. So do you do a lot of traditional like Indian food, or what kind of food do you do on it?
so I used to actually it used to be a heavy metal cooking show where I would make food for a band and the band would taste it and I would interview them. Uh,
Oh.
that was how it started, yeah. But then, after 5 years, I realized it was taking too much effort, and I just started to shoot cooking videos, whatever I was eating at home. And I was on this diet called the keto diet. So
Okay.
I started making keto diet recipes, and suddenly the channel just blew up, and it became my full-time job. You know.
That's really, really cool. That's awesome.
In
Gonna
fact,
make sure to link
I
it in
worked,
the channel.
yeah, yeah, and in fact, I actually worked with a Swedish company called Diet Doctor.
Okay. That's really cool.
And I actually did like some 15 20 recipes specifically for their website, and I also authored 3 keto diet cookbooks.
Oh shit, that's crazy. That's really awesome.
So,
And that you do this when managing to also do solo project, playing metal
yeah,
and playing in a band at the same time. That's mind blowing. That's crazy. That is very
yeah,
impressive.
it's easier if you work from the same place. So like right now, I'm in my room where I do all my recordings and I
Yeah.
practice guitar, and then I shoot in my kitchen, which is 4 feet away from me. So at least that saves you like about 4 hours of traveling every day to get to any place.
Yeah, yeah. Was it a lot of traveling before? Like, did you have far to get to work?
It's not far, but in Bombay city where I live, it's just a lot of traffic because it's just a very like crowded city.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That isn't that a very, very big city too? Like,
It's actually not very big. It's a small city, but it has like 20 million people in it.
that's crazy. Like the
Yeah.
streets must be packed like crazy
Oh yeah.
all the time. So it must be.
If I show you a picture of the local train, you will just freak out because there are people actually hanging out from the train and traveling.
What? That's
Yeah.
crazy. What? That's completely insane. Like how different the cultures is. Like people
Yeah.
here in Sweden, when they sit on the train, they don't even want to sit next to someone else. They just want to. Then they go and stand, and then in India they hang outside. That's just mind blowing. Like it's
Yeah.
insane. But isn't it like faster to like walk then than like taking the car or the scooter or whatever?
No, so no. I mean, if it's a short distance, people walk, but we also have auto rickshaws, those tuk tuks.
Ah,
Um,
okay.
yeah, and people have there's also buses, there are trains, there are taxis. Now we have Uber since the last, I think, 5 6 years. So I mean, plenty of transport, and again, everyone uses it differently.
Yeah, yeah. I was just thinking, like, since the streets is, I imagine that there's a lot of traffic, so I imagine that it's like a lot of like stops, like it takes a long
A
time
lot of
to like,
signals. Yeah,
yeah. That's why I
yeah,
read
like
about.
but like I'm saying, there are actually so many people that the trains are full, the buses are full, the streets are full, the autos are full, the taxis are full, private cars are there on the road. Like you name it, like it's
That's
crazy. Like if you
crazy.
actually check, if you check on Google, like I think we're like probably one of the most densely populated cities.
That's insane. What a different way of living. That I find it so interesting.
Yeah, so I think our population density is 25,000 per square kilometer.
Jesus.
That's 25,000 people per square kilometer. That's how crowded it is.
And that's just mind blowing. Well, I think you can't really. I don't think you can hear the music if I play a song, but I could play a song anyways. I just have to like. But yeah, let's just give it a listen. I mean, it will look stupid because you won't hear it, and I will like sit and but yeah. All right, this is Monolith of Hate, and it's featuring James Payne, Martino
Martino
Garatoni.
Garatoni.
Yeah, Annabelle official, and Annabelle is the keyboardist from Cradle of Filth, ex Cradle. Yeah, so here it is. Hope you enjoy it. I just love the drums there. It's so sick. The riffs are so sick too. Like the back soundtrack, all the instruments are so awesome. It fits really, really well with your vocals. Really, really enjoy it. Really, really love the clean cue. It's so cool. Going from those really brutal tones to that clean. It's such a cool transition. the orchestral stuff is so cool too. So cool. Like the almost point. I don't know how to say it in English. Like a choir, like orchestral choir.
Choir. Yeah, the choir.
Yeah. It's such an awesome song. Really, really, really cool. Love every part of it. Yeah, really, really cool. I really love the end part with like the keyboard and the guitar, like almost like a versus there. Really, really sick.
Yeah.
So that's really awesome. Actually, let me. So actually, I another question that popped up in my head was your creative process. How do you like build up the songs? Do you like start with one instrument and build to the other, and how do you write your
Yeah,
songs?
most of the time I sit down with the guitar and I just jam and just play. And if I come up with an idea that sounds interesting or good, I record it and I generally then take that idea and start building a song from there. That's how most of the writing process has been for all the projects over the years. Um, for the last Demonic Resurrection album, it was a little bit different because, well, when I say last album, I mean the 2017 album Dash Avatar, which we decided to sort of, the lyrics were based on the 10 avatars of the Hindu god Vishnu,
Okay.
and each song was going to tell the story of one avatar. So for that album, I actually wrote lyrics, vocals, and guitar all together. So
Oh,
I kind of, had to, yeah, because the idea was to tell the story in the song. So normally when I work on music, we finish the entire song and then I will add vocals and lyrics over that.
yeah.
But here I had to tell a certain amount of a story in the song. So I sort of worked a little bit differently.
Was it hard
Which was,
working differently?
no, in fact, it went really, really well. In fact, I think that was one of the fastest albums I ever wrote. I think I wrote it in like a month.
Oh shit, that's very fast.
Yeah, like, I just went to the studio, I sat with the stories and the guitar, and I just started writing, and like, it got done pretty quick. Even for the last album, the Demonic Resurrection, not album, but the sort of EP that we did with the 4 new songs, we worked with a new keyboard player called Mystique from Australia. She plays with a band called Earthcaller.
Earthcaller.
And you may have seen her on YouTube and Instagram. She basically takes deathcore songs and she pimps them up.
Yeah,
She makes like
I
symphonic.
really like Earthcaller.
Yeah. So she did the keys for the last the set of songs that we did, and she was like, "I want the song with vocals so that I can do the keyboards sort of uh, to accent some of the lyrics and stuff. So that was
Okay.
a different way of working for me as well. So I had to write the songs, then do all the lyrics and everything, and then send her that, and then she did the keyboards on top of that.
Yeah, that's really, really sick. Really cool that they've worked with Earthcolor too. What is like
Yeah,
working with all of these like features and artists? Must be fun to like work with all of these people.
yeah. I mean, the thing is, obviously, it would be amazing if I could actually go and jam with them and actually write music with them. But since that's not possible, we work over the internet. So most of the time, I write the song or the guitar part, and then I'll send it to them, and then they'll do their stuff over it, record it, and send it back to me. And we just work remotely. But it is a lot of fun. Like it's amazing to just hear them play on your song. I think
Yeah,
that's like like you always think, yeah, okay, this riff should have a blast beat, and you have some idea of what it will sound like in your head. But when you actually hear the drummer playing it, and then you're like, oh man, I can hear all these things that I could not even think of, because I even though I play drums, I'm not like that good a drummer. So that's something amazing. And then they'll take sections of your song where I would probably have something very simple, but then they just take that simple idea and they take it to the next level because of their ability as musicians.
yeah. Do you ever like have video calls with them or anything?
I
Talk to
have
them?
had one or I have had one or two, but for the most part, I've never needed to. Like most of the time, it's like what they send back is like so good that like I'm like, yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, I can imagine with the caliber of artists and musicians you have worked with, it's crazy.
Yeah,
It's really,
yeah,
really
and
cool.
if I don't like something, it's not normally because they've like not played it well or something. It's just that I had like a different idea for a certain riff, and they may have tried something different, and I may have been like, yeah, could you try the other one?
Yeah. It's still very fun to work with all of these people, I'd imagine.
Yeah, it's a dream come true for me. I mean, if you
Yeah.
told 16-year-old Sahil that he'd be playing with George Colliers on an album, that I mean, I would have never have believed it.
Well, very much look forward to hearing your album once it comes out, and I will definitely check out your cooking channel if you link it to me.
Yeah,
I
it's called Headbangers Kitchen.
Headbang does kitchen.
Headbangers Kitchen. Headbanger with an apostrophe S.
Yeah.
Headbangers Kitchen.
Okay.
I'll send you the link anyway. Don't worry.
Yeah. I'll post it in the description too, so people can find it. Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you. It's been really, really fun getting insights and everything from your music to the Indian metal scene and like society in whole. It was really fun
Yeah,
talking to you guys. You,
my pleasure too.
Sahil. So
That's all. It's a tricky one.
thank you very much for doing this, and yeah, thank you for everyone that's watching too. Hope you have
Thank you,
enjoyed
guys.
this
My pleasure.
cast, and yeah, check out all of his stuff that I will post in the description. And yeah, if you like the reaction, be sure to leave a like on it. And yeah, if you want to see some more podcasts and reactions here, be sure to subscribe as well. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.